Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today? Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today?
Mayor Karen Bass says she's investigating the decision she made to head to Ghana days before the LA fires. She also wants doctors to open her brain to find out why she's so stupid.
Greg Gutfeld just delivered a truth bomb so explosive that even Karen Bass's Wi-Fi seemed ready to quit. One moment she was giving a polished political speech, and the next she found herself the unwitting star of a full-blown comedy roast, transforming what should have been an official statement into an instant disaster. Politicians might usually dodge accountability, but this time Bass's attempts to sidestep scrutiny failed spectacularly in real time, and Greg didn't hold back, laying it all out with no filter.
Mayor Karen Bass put the gong in Ghana for the president's inauguration. A Sky News reporter confronted her about it when she finally got back, and Karen had a ton to say.
Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering...
Make sure to subscribe, it helps more than you realize. Some politicians try to cover their mistakes with long speeches, but Karen Bass takes it to the next level with marathon press conferences. Every time she steps up to a podium, Los Angeles braces itself like someone just shouted, "Incoming," because whenever Bass talks about fixing the city, a new scandal, tent encampment, or carjacking seems to appear out of nowhere, as if she's inadvertently unlocked a bonus level in a...
Again, Karen Bass talks out of her ass. Because when destruction occurs, it's everyone's fault but hers. LA Mayor Karen Bass is demanding an investigation into her trip to Ghana. The H is silent. As the LA fires erupted, a trip she made the decision to embark on. Roll it, Lance.
Although there were warnings that I frankly wasn't aware of, although there were warnings, I think our preparation wasn't what it typically is.
Greg Gutfeld saw it all. He didn't just watch. He practically grabbed popcorn, took notes, and declared, "Let's talk about this circus," because what's more entertaining than a mayor who turns every city update into a plot twist? One day she's tackling homelessness, and the next the crisis has its own spin-off series titled Homelessness.
And she wants to know how she ended up thousands of miles away in Africa. It seems to me like it's pretty simple. She hopped on a plane and flew there. What, did someone blindfold her, throw her in the back of a trunk, and bing, bang, boom, she ended up in Ghana? Nope, she booked a trip, and as mayor, she lives in LA where fires are a part of life. Blaming her absence on someone else is kind of like blaming your hangover on the bartender. It's all on you, Mayor Bass, which means you'll probably be governor in no time.
Karen Bass seems to believe every problem can be solved by announcing a committee, which in Los Angeles basically means they'll talk about it for 5 years while the problem grows its own zip code. Gutfeld had a field day highlighting how the city's go-to solution is to hire more consultants, because nothing screams progress like paying someone 6 figures to write a report that basically says, "We should do..."
Credit, this is an audacious play. You know, it's like OJ saying, like, we need to find the killer.
Yeah. It's like, good luck, Nancy Drew, with this mystery. How did you end up on another continent on a trip that you chose to go on? She's like, we don't know the details, but we're looking into it.
Yeah.
She also promised as a candidate not to leave the country, ever, as mayor. She loved to go to Africa, she said, but not anymore once I'm mayor. She listed like 5 cities she would ever go to, and that's it. And then here she is for the 4th or 5th time overseas, and this happens. And she's, I guess, so out of any other excuse or idea that she said, we're investigating our...
Los Angeles residents are living through real-life chaos, crime, inflation, and a mayor who acts like optimism is a policy. Karen Bass keeps promising to make LA a city of the future, but no one expected that future to look like a post-apocalyptic sci-fi film directed by the team behind Mad Max. Greg Gutfeld doesn't need fancy visuals or deep analysis to expose the absurdity. He just points at the obvious, like someone claiming they solved world hunger by renaming it food insecurity. When Bass took office, she announced a mission to unite the city, and technically she succeeded. Everyone, from liberals and conservatives to renters, landlords, and even pigeons, is now united in frustration, so much so that LA could probably start its own national anthem. The best part is, Gutfeld doesn't just mock, he observes that every one of Bass's plans seems to rely on 2 things, money and faith. The money comes from taxpayers, and the faith is needed because buildings are either abandoned or under development. City speak, for we ran out of money halfway through. In short, LA has perfected the art of being halfway done, half safe, half clean, and half governed.
Bass, best known for going to Ghana while LA burned, just got smoletted. The LA mayor claims ICE kidnapped a migrant mom and held her in a warehouse, hoping she'd self-deport, and adding, quote, "This doesn't make anyone safer." There's just one problem for Karen. The story's a hoax. The so-called victim, a Mexican national, is now facing federal charges for faking her own kidnapping and blaming ICE. The DOJ says Yuriana Calderon staged the
Out how the city pours millions into temporary housing projects so slow that by the time they're ready, half the homeless population has either moved on or built their own neighborhood nearby. Base keeps holding ribbon-cutting ceremonies for buildings that exist only on PowerPoint slides. But the real comedy gold is her relationship with reality mostly off. Every time crime spikes, she acts shocked, as if she just discovered gravity, saying, "We didn't see this coming," while everyone in LA screams, "We did." Gutfeld thrives on irony, and Bass delivers it daily. When she claims the city is safer, the LAPD's crime report practically steps on stage asking, "Are you sure about that?" When she promises a cleaner sanitation workers send postcards from the trenches saying, "We're trying, but we need backup." And then there's her magical ability to make bad news sound inspiring. She announced that homelessness dropped by 1%, all while someone's catalytic converter gets stolen.
If you wanted endangered fish, I'd say it's the Karen Bass. Her career is up in flames. She called for unity amid this crisis. There is unity. Everybody there thinks you're a full-blown idiot who should resign. I do think you're going to see rage in the next couple of years, because you can't fight fire with platitudes, pronouns, and politics. You need practical solutions.
Here's the irony that drives Greg Gutfeld crazy. Karen Bass carries the political calm of a yoga instructor, smiling through chaos, nodding through scandals, and delivering speeches that sound like they were generated by an AI trained on optimism and denial. When she claims things are moving in the right direction, no one knows which direction that is, especially since the only thing moving fast in LA these days is the exodus of residents to Texas. Greg joked that soon LA will consist of just her, the press, and a fleet of electric scooters left uncharged since 2022. Speaking of those scooters, she once celebrated them as symbols of sustainability, yet now they lie scattered across sidewalks like fossilized reminders of failed ideas. The city that wanted to be futuristic now resembles the aftermath of a tech startup apocalypse, where citizens hold their breath at every update, wondering if emergency will be attached to the latest declaration state of emergency on homelessness, emergency response to crime, and so on.
Everything she says that's horrible, she does with a smile.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Yes.
It's weird.
It's freaky, and it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, wouldn't we all want to have this excuse where I would be like, babe, I'm investigating how I went to the strip club as well. I don't know how that happened. It is under investigation. The winds were blowing that way, but I didn't know, and do I have a chainsaw?
Emergency conference on the emergency about too many emergencies. Greg Gutfeld pointed out that Karen Bass doesn't need a communications director, she needs a fire alarm. Yet the most jaw-dropping part of his roast wasn't even her performance, but her confidence. She enters every meeting like she's about to unveil a cure for chaos, only to announce yet another study about it. She doesn't fix problems, she commissions essays, and Gutfeld noticed the pattern. The more she talks about improvement, the more the city resembles a live-action before picture. It's like watching someone repaint a burning house and calling it renovation. Every decision, a bet that optimism can outshoot logic. And the kicker, every time Greg exposes one of her contradictions, her supporters double down, insisting he's the problem. By the time he got halfway through dissecting Bass's leadership, it felt less like political analysis and more like stand-up comedy masquerading as civic education, because honestly, how do you keep a straight face when the city's biggest plan for crime reduction is just hoping it goes away?
And the people that offer practical solutions were ignored. Water management, forest management, power line safety, brush clearing, vegetation clearing. You don't fight it with a climate agenda, a DEI agenda, or even a political agenda. And you hear Democrats and the media criticizing Trump and others for speaking out as the tragedy unfolds, as if they don't do it during every mass shooting. But here's the difference. You can't speak out if you were warning people years before.
Is that she talks about bold actions, like she's announcing the next Marvel movie, except instead of heroes saving the day, you get another committee with matching tote bags. LA doesn't need another task force. It needs a functioning task. Gutfeld's sarcasm practically writes itself when Bass talks about reforming law enforcement, because every speech she gives sounds like a riddle wrapped in a mission statement. 10 minutes of talking, and no one knows whether she's increasing funding, cutting funding, or just funding the confusion. It's a talent some people juggle. Fire. Bass juggles contradictions. Whenever something goes wrong, she whips out numbers faster than a Vegas card dealer. Crime is down 2%. She says, forgetting it's actually up 50% from last year. Greg joked that by now, her statistics department must have a dartboard labeled random facts. And you can't talk about Karen Bass without mentioning her obsession with press optics. Treats every bad headline like a stubborn stain. Just keep spinning, and maybe no.
But you're right. Like the mayor Karen Bass, or she was in Africa at a party. Oh, why was she, who's ever been like, oh, this party sucks, we need Karen Bass? Like, I mean, the last thing you wanted at a party is more Karens. You know?
Gutfeld exposed how Karen Bass's team spends more time crafting the image of progress than actually achieving it. Because in LA, image isn't just everything, it's the only thing. He highlighted the absurdity of her taking credit for problems that magically resolve right before photo ops. Homeless camps cleared a day before her press tour, only to respawn once the cameras are off. Like Grand Theft Auto, Downtown Edition. Greg didn't even need to exaggerate, it's practically performance art. He joked that Bass runs the city like a Hollywood set. Perfect lighting, smiling extras, and nothing real behind the backdrop. As long as it looks like progress, she's satisfied, even turning a budget deficit into an inspirational story. Gutfeld relishes these contradictions the way Bass preaches transparency while her administration buries bad news faster than potholes appear. The political equivalent of reruns. Same cast, same script, slightly worse acting.
Karen Bass claimed that ICE kidnapped an LA mother on her way to work, but prosecutors say it was a hoax. Karen swears by the story, saying she heard about it from her boyfriend in Chicago.
And then there's her idea of community trust. Nothing says trust like doubling the city budget for consultants while citizens can't even trust their catalytic converters to stay attached overnight. It's poetic irony. She claims to restore faith in government by proving why nobody has any. Greg mocked how every town hall feels like group therapy for policies that don't work. People show up with real concerns, and she responds with motivational speeches about the journey of civic unity. Like watching a self-help book run for office. He roasted the irony that while she talks about affordable housing, she's surrounded by developers whose idea of affordable requires a 6-figure income and 3 Metza, real estate magic trick where money disappears, nothing gets built, and the applause sign keeps flashing. And speaking of applause, Greg noticed Bass thrives on it. Every new initiative comes with a dramatic unveiling, as if she's reinventing the concept of doing her job, prompting him to joke that if speeches could fill potholes, LA would have the smoothest roads in America.
On a place that you know very, very well.
The Pacific Palisades, still very fluid. People are desperately trying to get into the neighborhood because we're hearing about looters. We're seeing videos of people on bikes. Maybe they're scoping out neighborhoods where some homes still stand, and they're convinced that there will be easy passage. And people are really desperate to get in, check on their homes. It's still very difficult to access information.
Streets full of craters, deep enough to qualify as new zip codes. But the sharpest part of Gutfeld's roast came when he highlighted just how detached Bass is from everyday reality. When asked about rising costs, she talks about economic momentum. When crime is mentioned, she brings up restorative justice. Greg said it's like watching someone describe a fire while holding a marshmallow stick. The real comedy, however, comes from the reactions every time Greg skewers her logic. Social media lights up, exposing that she's perfectly average in a system that rewards pretending everything is fine. He didn't need outrage to make his point. He used laughter to reveal the absurdity. Because in a city this chaotic, you either laugh or cry.